So I'm Marielle Audon. I'm a 10 years marketing professional, 10 years experience marketing professional. Um, I'm French, so you'll have to excuse my awful accent. It's pretty much the best I can gather. So I'm working currently as my official title is project director. I'm actually working as a strategist in a communication agency. I've been doing that for about 2 years, but before that, I was working for another communication agency as a, say, chief operations officer. So I'd say pretty much 5 years in a job or so. And I've been doing that as a French person in Madagascar and in Mauritius.
What do you enjoy most about your job?
Well, what got me to change for advertisement in the first place, because I was working for, say, the client side before that. And what got me to change in the first place was the fact that I'd get to see different industries, different sides of business, basically. And I would only get to interact with people whenever they actually need me. So the consulting part is actually very rewarding, because you know that when you get to work with people, they actually need your expertise. So you just cut the operational nitty-gritty aspect of things and just go directly to we actually need to change something. We need to put something on the market. We need to transition, and that's where you come in.
What would you say is the hardest part about your job?
Well, as always, I guess when you work with clients, and especially when you work in the communication field, the hardest part would be to actually be able to understand the other properly, so you can actually muster a proper proposition, a proper recommendation, and convey your messages in a way that people will actually understand where you're getting at, where you're coming from, and where you're going.
And so you said you relocated to Madagascar and then Mauritius. What made you sort of think of doing that?
Actually, I've always wanted to relocate. Not that France is not a nice country, but it's just I've always wanted to see something different. That's why I started foreign languages in the first place, and then I figured out, oh well, might as well try to find a field I could apply that knowledge to, and that's what made me actually study business. So foreign languages came first, and then business came second. And I guess I was just trying to make a living doing interesting stuff in the first place. And so why Madagascar? Well, just because I got an offer, I was pretty much willing to relocate anywhere on the planet. And so from there, I got the offer to move to Mauritius, which is a neighboring island. And then, well, I went for it. Funny story, actually, what got me to get those offers in the first place was just holidays. I went there on holidays. I went to Mauritius on the holidays to scuba dive. And then I met people, and then it got me in touch with someone in Madagascar who was looking for the position I got in Madagascar, which was chief operations officer. And then voila.
Throughout your career, do you find there's a difference between like marketing for an international company and then versus like marketing for more locally focused companies?
Definitely, and all of the marketing positions I've had so far were very locally focused, either way. So basically, it says it all when you say marketing, right? It's about putting on the market. So you have to understand what the market is, and you have to understand what triggers people, what they need, and how they see things before you can actually do anything at all. It's not just about pushing products. It's mostly first about understanding people, and then potentially coming up with the right recommendation. So it could be product-wise if you actually working in the marketing field per se, or communication-wise, which is like the, say, tip of the iceberg if you're working at a communication agency. But because I'm working as a product director, and say part of my job translates into a strategic planner in other communication agencies. But because it's a small island, let's say, and it's a small market, my job is a bit broader. But that strategic planning aspect of things is really about collecting insights. So it's really about understanding people and in terms of consumption habits, in terms of what drives them on a daily basis, and in terms of then where would be the touch points, where could I reach out to them so they could actually see the products or see the solutions I want to offer them. You wouldn't do that the exact same way anywhere else on the planet. That's what makes it so interesting, basically.
What would you say some key skills, what do you think are some key skills that are like necessary to be able to make it in your field?
Say in terms of knowledge, understanding how business is done basically is really interesting, because in my position, you get to talk to companies, right? So it's mostly a B2B business, a business to business industry. So you get to talk with people who are in dire need of doing something, either just changing the strategy or just pushing a product or a service onto the market. So you need to be able to understand what's at stake. Also because I personally am a manager, so I am in charge of, say, a profit center, or I try to make it so that it's profitable. So you need to like have those skills of like management and global business understanding. You also need to, well, of course, have like say matter of fact strategy knowledge, right? Because that's what you're selling. So and I would say like the skill, personal skill that underlines it all is curiosity. You need to read, you need to go out there, you need to know what's happening, what in the world, generally speaking, because you never know where inspiration will come from. And to actually be relevant and be efficient, all of your propositions need to be really tailor-made, and they need to be a bit distinctive, right? Otherwise, it's just additional noise, and it's not proper advertisement, right? It's just pushing stuff into people's face. So if you want to make it so that people will actually be willing to come to you, and we can talk about inbound marketing and other concepts, but it's basically, ever since there's been social media and the internet, the way we do business has drastically changed. So it's not so much about like just pushing stuff down people's throat, but just about being interesting so people actually come to you in the first place. You can't do that if you're just being generic. So you need to be very innovative and inventive. Every time you need to like renew everything all the time, and you can't do that if you don't, just get out a bit of your comfort zone and just try to fish for new stuff every time.
Just a final question. Do you have any advice for people who are looking to take their career in sort of a similar direction as yours?
Well, I don't know if it applies really to the same position as mine, or if it's just more of a generic one, but knowing from where I actually come from, I would say my first piece of advice would be, don't let anyone tell you what you can or cannot do. You can find it in yourself to actually make it so that you'll be, if not the best in class, actually a top-notch professional. So you can actually do it. I wasn't really encouraged into the direction, and I pretty much landed that job like out of nowhere, coming to Mauritius on the holidays. Although I did have like core skills, and I did get lucky enough to meet people who were smart enough to actually see, oh, well, different types of things, and you could actually be good at this particular job. And I didn't think of it for myself. So the second thing would be, be curious and get out there, meet people, talk to people, and you don't know, you never know. Sometimes, job offers just pop in where you don't expect them, where you actually least expect them.
Great advice. Thank you, especially for me. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. And feel free to stalk me on LinkedIn and reach out. I'll be happy to answer any questions.